Om Namo Bhagavate Ramakrishnaya. Om. Salutations to Bhagavan Ramakrishna. Nag Mahashay, Part 5. We've seen how Nag Mahashay, Durga Charan Nag, used to appear, and some of his eccentric behavior. We want to discuss something about his behavior and his looks. Love transforms a person. This is ordinarily seen everywhere. Love for God also transforms a person. So at first glance, when we see people looking at him, this is kind of crazy man, crazy looking, unkept hair, unkept clothes, disheveled, oblivious of everything around. That was the first glance. Second glance, people used to be taken aback because they could see his eyes, they were bright and shining. He was also free from body consciousness, and this is a tremendous achievement. We all have a body consciousness. Even the best ones of us will have body consciousness. And we talk about, Vedanta says you've got to eliminate body consciousness and this and that. How do you eliminate body consciousness? It has to be replaced with God consciousness. Otherwise, it's not possible. It's impossible. So, this was Nag Mahasaya. His consciousness was God consciousness, and he had a look of the divine madness, the divinity, of course. Such people, when they look at themselves, suppose they never use a mirror, of course. Even we are told, don't use the mirror. But we know how difficult it is. When such a person sees himself or herself in the mirror, what do they see? They do not see themselves. They see God. That is the difference between them seeing in the mirror and we seeing in the mirror. The next step is, as that person sees God within himself or herself, then he sees that same God in everybody. This was the state Nag Mahashay was in. This is the state which the scriptures call as Unmad, that is, mad with divine love. We know how love can madden us. And imagine love for God, how it transforms that person. That person has become mad for God. Sorry. So he used to live in his native village that is now in what is called Bangladesh, called Devbhog. It was near Dhaka, the present-day capital of Bangladesh. And whenever he used to go to Calcutta, because they used to celebrate the Durga Puja, and he used to go to Calcutta to purchase all those things, very intricate things. They're numerous, and you can get them in Calcutta, even today. True. People from all over the country and the world also, they go down there to purchase these things. Whenever he used to go, first he used to go to the temple of Mother Kali. There's a very famous temple in Calcutta, which is called Kali Ghat. Sri Ramakrishna is gone, the direct disciple is gone. It's a focal point of the worshippers of Kali, the Shakti worshippers. Mother is palpable. Sri Ramakrishna saw her palpable, a living presence. That's one of the Shakti Pita, one of the, you can say, principal temples where the Divine Mother is manifest in a very big way. He used to go there, pay obeisance to, and then he used to walk barefoot. I don't think he ever wore shoes towards the end. Probably in the beginning, he used to go barefoot and meet Girish Ghosh. Now, Girish Ghosh was diametrically opposite to Nag Mahashay's nature. And they both understood each other. At that level, devotees can understand each other. He used to say, now that distance from Kali Ghat to Bagh Bazar, where Girish used to live, it will take at least 2 hours of walking. At least I'll take 2 hours. He used to do that. He says, if one keeps association with Girish Babu, even for 5 minutes, one gets freed from worldly delusion. He is such a perfect sage. Now, we have seen the life of Girish Ghosh. Those who haven't should go and view or read about him. He was everything that a worldly person can be in the highest degree possible. One thing he always stuck to truth, and he had tremendous faith. And when a person sticks to truth, what happens is, the first thing that person does is, he will seek truth. You will not like lies and deception, delusions. This is one indication. When a person seeks truth, that person is truthful. And if no, then they go for the world of lies, because there's plenty of it around. Again, he would say, Girish Babu has such a keen insight that he can see at a glance the innermost recesses of man's heart. And with such an insight, he was the first to recognize the Master as an incarnation. Here it is. So these people have what is called the spiritual insight. This comes when the heart has become so pure. The intuition, the spiritual intuition flashes in there. The spiritual intuition is spoken of in the scriptures as the Dhi, the awakening of the Dhi. Dhi is that spiritual intelligence. That's why in the Gayatri Mantra, the prayer is, let that spiritual intelligence, that Dhi, be awakened in me. They're not asking for houses and cars and health and wealth, nothing. May my Dhi, D-H-I. From there the word buddhi has come, intelligence. This is spiritual intelligence. So Girish had this. So, and they were great friends. Both used to respect each other. Both used to, you can say, hold each other in very high esteem. He also used to go to the monastery of the first direct disciples at Alam Bazar. It was shifted from, the first monastery was at Baranagar, then they came at Alam Bazar. That is also, just across the river Ganges from where the present Belur Mutt is, a little diagonal. And whenever he used to go to the monastery and with all the other disciples of Sri Ramakrishna, monastic disciples, he used to prostrate himself in front of all of them. And they used to receive him warmly, and he used to participate in the evening vespers. And he opened a kind of a mart of joy. This is another indication of a saint. Wherever the saint goes, there will be joy. Nothing else. That sadness is just out of the question. Because that person is experiencing joy, and that joy is transmitted to everybody around. One thing about him was he loved prasad, sacramental food that was offered to the deity, and for that he used to kind of hanker, and he could do anything for this. So Girish Ghosh also had a trick. Mahashay was a strict vegetarian. And Girish one time had prepared some fish, you can say, curry or something like that. And he knew Mahashay would be coming. And then Mahashay came in and said, I want prasadam. Yeah, come and sit down. And he takes that fish and he puts it on Mahashay's plate. And now he couldn't say no because he was caught. And then he had to eat it. It was prasad. Then he slyly tells Girish, you're very smart. You made me eat this. So and for us, okay, it's prasadam. We also like prasad. But for him, that food had actually been partaken by the deity. And so it was like nectar for him. He also used to go to various places in Calcutta. Somehow, once while on the way to Dakshineshwar, as a young man, he used to often go to see Sri Ramakrishna. Sri Ramakrishna had passed away, and he had passed away in Kashipur. So once going down the street with another devotee who had hired a horse carriage, so he's saying, see, this is Kashipur. And we saw Mahashay shudder. And he's saying, no, and he turned pale also. He didn't want to even look in the direction of that house where Sri Ramakrishna played his final act, the divine play. And then he's saying, I don't want to go there. He never went there. And he didn't want to even cross that road where the Kashipur garden house was. Then he says, when the topic of the master's passing away of cancer was raised, Mahashay exclaimed, it was all the play of the Lord. He vicariously took upon himself the disease for the salvation of the jivas. This was why he was, as you say, filled with all these emotions. He knew that place, that place was not just an ordinary place for him. He understood that it was here that Sri Ramakrishna absorbed everybody's sin within himself. Why? Just for fun. Nobody does that for fun. In order to liberate souls. So now we understand why his reaction was kind of, for us, oh, we are going to Kashipur, really? Oh, let's go. And we are all full of joy and fun and this and that. But for him, that was a place which was even beyond sacred. It was kind of a place where was a place where the souls were liberated. He also used to go to Dakshineshwar. One time he went to Dakshineshwar with a disciple, and not a disciple, a devotee, in fact, who wrote this book. And Sri Ramakrishna took him around to all the various places connected with Sri Ramakrishna's life. And he showed him all these various places where he practiced meditation, the Panchavati, that's the grove of 5 trees, the Bale Grove, etc. And then, even before he could enter the gates of that whole temple complex, he prostrated himself in front of that gate. Now, looking at him, we'll say, you do that in front of the temple. For him, the entire temple complex had become sacred. So he prostrated around the gate, took the devotee around, showed him the places, and slowly they came towards Sri Ramakrishna's room. And again, he had all these great spiritual emotions. He again prostrated himself in front of Sri Ramakrishna's door, and he lay there, unmoving. The devotee was trying to raise him, trying to take him, saying, no, I'm not going into the room. Sri Ramakrishna is not here anymore. Later on, we will find why he said this. Because when he went to Belur Math, he said, Sri Ramakrishna, I see, is palpably present here at Belur Math. But this came in much later. So he's saying, oh, that play is done. That is over in this life. It's all okay. He once went to see Mother. He used to often go to see Holy Mother whenever he had the opportunity. So this time, she was in a house neighboring the monastery, Belur Math, which is now part of the monastery. It's called the Old Math, the Old Monastery, and also the Nilambar Babu's Garden House. It's a very serene place. So as he was leaving for the darshan of Mother, he was in a high spiritual state. And somehow the devotee took care of him because they had to cross the river Ganges. And Swami Premananda, who was, as we know, Sri Ramakrishna's disciple, and also one of the Ishvara Kotis, those great souls who come down with a specific mission to spread the Lord's word. He had heard that Mahashay will be arriving. So he went down to the bathing ghat where the boat was going to anchor. And with great care, he held Mahashay and made him step over the prow of the boat on the ghat, the landing steps. Mahashay was in a high spiritual state and he was oblivious. He was weeping and weeping and weeping. So somehow they managed to put him on dry land, lead him up to the house, and there it was. And constantly saying, Mother, Mother, Mother. And he was in such a high state, even before he climbed the stairs, that house is still there and it has been maintained by the authorities of that Belur Math as it is. So he was slamming his head on the steps. He had no body consciousness. And of course, his head was cracked and the skin broke and he was bleeding. But he was oblivious of this. Slowly he was actually carried to Holy Mother. Holy Mother was informed that Mahashay has come. And he was blinded by the tears. Tears of what? Tears of joy. They say there are 3 types of tears. The tears of pain, the tears of shame, and tears of joy. So, so he had the latter, tears of joy. And Holy Mother saw him in this state, and she had given him prasad, and it was just not possible for him to eat, but yet it was prasad. Holy Mother, with her own hands, she fed him, saying, this child is in a high state of, he was in the state of bhava, as they say. And then after half an hour, he was led down, and then he says, Mother is more compassionate than father. He behaved exactly like a child, a 2 or 3 year old child with the mother. That was what. So he kept on saying, and mother had given him a piece of cloth, they're called dhoti. Now that was for him so sacred, no question of him wearing it, he wrapped it round his head. The similar thing had happened, and he wrapped it around his head and walking around all over the place. One time even Girish Ghosh, he had heard that, he denied himself all comfort. So it was winter, and Girish Ghosh had heard that it's cold and Mahashay wasn't adequately equipped with winter garments. So he had sent a nice woolen blanket to another devotee, Devan Mazumdar. And Girish also knew that he will not accept anything superfluous. And when the devotee returned, he's saying, what happened? Did he accept? Yes, he did. And he's not using it. He has kept it on his head. And he's sitting there. That was Nahag Mahashay. So here, one time again, he had gone to Alam Bazar Mutt, and they were late in reaching there. It was post lunch, prasad and lunch, and then the devotees, the direct disciples had retired. So they reached there, and then they found that he has arrived, and it was always, like I said, a mart of joy, and he's not going to eat anything other than prasadam. So the direct disciples had cooked some food like luchi and all these things. They had prepared as he was there, and they asked him to sit and eat. He's not going to eat. So Ramakrishna, who was extremely orthodox about all these rituals, he opened the temple, offered the food, and then it was given to Nahag Mahashay. And then Nahag Mahashay gladly ate it. So that was, so he was, what, there's another thing is, these people have another peculiarity. How do you know the person is a saint? If you do anything good in that person's presence, the results come quickly. If you do something bad, the results also come quickly. Yes, they have the power to bring to fruition your thoughts and your actions immediately. So one time he had gone, he was, after all his purchases for a Durga Puja, he was going by train back home. And so the devotees who had come, they were, trying to arrange all the various small packets, etc. And in the rush, one of them forgot his umbrella in the train. They had left. So Nahag Mahashay went to claim it, to return it later. Another man comes and says, no, this is mine. So Nahag Mahashay never used to argue. It's okay. So what happened, as the train started, this person, he fell asleep. And he overshot his journey in the sense of the station which is supposed to get down. He overshot. And the ticket collector comes and fines him heavily. So he says, see, you get the fruits immediately. Another time, another person was also in the during that same journey. He saw one person with traveling with a prostitute, and he noticed it. But then, what happened is next he noticed is there was some kind of a satanic or devilish figure or whatever sitting on that man's neck and sucking his prana, that is the life vital forces. And as he was sucking, he saw the man, his flesh getting shriveled and his bare bones could be seen. That is, he could see what will happen in a few years for this person. And Mahashay, mother, 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 he says. And then he says, believe me, I saw all this with my own naked eyes. So it's very difficult to see these things externally with these eyes. Why? Because as we have seen in the life of Gopal's mother and all the other disciples, they used to see the deity, God, externally as well as internally. Externally, why? Because now their bodies have become completely transformed. They do not, as they say, Sri Ramakrishna says, they develop a new body called a love body. What is that love body? It's a body made of prema, love for God has transformed the body. It is through this body that we see things externally and internally. So he was so humble. Anybody who would come and try to say, oh, you are such a great person, he used to cut them off quickly. Stop. What is this? I am an humble person and I'm a nobody. So here he never initiated anybody, saying, no, that is just not possible for me. Saying the disciples of Sri Ramakrishna who are in the monastery, they are the real gurus for this age. They will initiate people. So who am I? So here he had, one time he goes to Belur Math. This needs a little elaboration. And Swami Vivekananda had just returned from his tour of the West, close to about 5 years. So Mahashay had come there to the monastery. And Swamiji asked him, are you well? So he said, I have come today to visit you. Glory to Shankara, that is Shiva. Glory Shankara. Verily, I am blessed today with the sight of Shiva. Sri Ramakrishna says that Swami Vivekananda, was Shiva incarnate. And many people take this on faith. Here, this is not just faith, but through that deep spiritual intuition, he could see, Swamiji say. Then Swamiji says, how are you getting on with your health? Why are you asking about this trifling body, this cage of flesh and bone? Verily, I am blessed today by coming here to see you. And he prostrated in front of Swami. Swamiji lifted him up and said, and he says, I see with my inner eye, that's that spiritual eye. Today, I am blessed with the vision of Shiva himself. Glory to Sri Ramakrishna. Swamiji, he was teaching the novices there in the Upanishads. He was giving a class. He says, do you see how real bhakti transforms human nature? Mahashay has lost himself in the divine. His body consciousness has vanished altogether. Then Swamiji knew, get some prasadam. And prasadam was brought to. And he's saying, oh, look, seeing you, I've lost all appetite for anything. I'm satisfied. I just want to see you. And then he says, Swami says, see, look at him. He is a householder. Yet he has no knowledge of the mundane world. He is always lost in divine consciousness. This was the cause of his apparent madness outside. Nobody can understand this. So here he says, Nagama says, what shall I say? Then Swamiji said, tell us something about a master. Saying, what will I say? I have come to see you, the hero, the helper in the Leela of Sri Ramakrishna. Now people will appreciate the message and teachings of our master. Swamiji, you have really understood Sri Ramakrishna. We have spent our life in useless search and wanderings. Swamiji also, so he's saying, Nagama says, you are the obverse and reverse. That is, you and Sri Ramakrishna, the obverse and reverse are the same, like as a coin. Those who have eyes, let them see. And Swamiji had, after he returned from the West, he had begun to build this organization. And he says that, am I doing all these things rightly? Are we heading in the right direction? Nagama, I am an insignificant being. What do I understand? Whatever you do shall conduce to the well-being of the world. Yes, to the good of the world. This was Mahashay's insight into Swamiji's work. And then rest of the students, young monks, went to take the dust off his feet. And that is one thing he never allowed. And he became distressed. So Swamiji cautioned them, don't make him uncomfortable. So Swamiji said, why don't you come and stay at a monastery? Saying, Sri Ramakrishna had said, live the life of a householder. So I'm living the life of a householder. So Swamiji had said, I like to go and visit your part of the country. And he's saying, will you? That land will be blessed like it has become verily Kashi, that is Benares. And then he says, I have a mind to go there, but mother wills. Nagama said, who can understand you? Unless divine vision opens, none can understand you. This is what Nagama had. Only Sri Ramakrishna did, all else put their faith in his words. Well, none has understood you. Then he says, no, his plan was to rouse India up spiritually. Because he's saying they are lying in slumber without faith in the infinite strength, inert and without any response. If I can awaken them to the spirit of the eternal religion, then I shall know Sri Ramakrishna's advent and his birth were fruitful. Nagama said, the blessings of Sri Ramakrishna are there with you. Who can turn the course of your will? None do I see. Whatever you will, that shall come to pass. And then he says, Nagama said, your will and the will of Ramakrishna has become one. So nobody can stop you. So he says, after coming here, my health has broken down. When I was in the West, my health was good. So Nagama says, the great care should be taken of your health. Who will do it? He's saying, then he says, those who are taking care of you, they will be blessed. And your box is like a great treasure. He uses the word gold mohors. Mohors are the gold coins. They used to have they used to put it in a kind of box, and saying your body is like that box. When you put gold in something, the box also by association becomes precious. So then he says, sometimes I wonder whether I'm doing something right. They say, Nag Mahasaya is not going to be dissuaded. Sri Ramakrishna said that treasure is now locked, and when you know it, you will not live long, he said. And then Nag Mahasaya, for him, Swami Premananda bought prasada. And then he had the prasadam. And he got so ecstatic with joy, he began dancing. And Swamiji used to take an evening walk, and then he was walking a few paces behind, because he's saying, now, I cannot walk with someone whom I consider as Shiva. And after some time, then he's saying, are you going to stay here for the night? Saying, no, I'm not going to stay here the night. Then Swamiji says, call a boat and see that he departs, because it's getting late. And again, he used to visit the places where Sri Ramakrishna, Balaram Bose's house, which is again another one of our centers now. He has gone there. He's saying that is a holy place. Sri Ramakrishna visited that house 100 times. So it had become holy. And he met Swami Brahmananda and Swami Premananda there. And they say, it is due to the appearance of such great souls like Nag Mahasaya that spirituality is still present in India. Blessed indeed is Nag Mahasaya. And he used to say of them that they are not men but gods in human form. They have come to play with the Lord. Who can know them? Who can understand them? His father, when he was in Calcutta, he used to do the shopping, go back. His father was very distressed because his son, who had a very promising career as a doctor, had become a saint and given up all money, all ideas of wealth, etc. But due to his son's influence, his father slowly veered away from these worldly thoughts and began to chant the name of God, listen to scriptures, etc., and which Nag Mahasaya used to read. And then towards the very end, his father was about 80 and he had gone someplace, and because of colic pain, he had fainted. He was brought back home. And then Nag Mahasaya was chanting the name of God. His father took up that chant and both chanting together, and he gave up his body. Nag Mahasaya was not saddened. He knew he had lived a good life, and he's saying, I saw my father taking the name of God and he leaving the body consciously. This is an ideal way of departing. Say that in the Bhagavad Gita is saying, you take all your prana, all the vital forces, bring it up to the heart, and from there, bring it up to the center of your eyebrows. And then, taking the name of God, give up the body. This is the best way. This is the way how yogis give up their body. So he goes to Gaya, that is the funeral ceremony is over here, and that is one of the customs there amongst Hindus in India. They go to Gaya. That's one of the sacred places of worship, and also a place of Vishnu, where the funeral obsequy is kind of taking place. So he lived there, and so he lived there as a typical, you can say, a son, following all the dictates of the scriptures regarding this, and came back. Now, we can stop here. I want this class to be the last, but then I found that it is so intense. We'll continue this for another class, the next class. And for the simple reason that I want to do justice for this great soul. It's not just an ordinary householder that we are reading about. At this stage, he was beyond monasticism and non-monasticism, everything. So next Friday, we'll take the last part of this. It's an amazing, because as I said, it's very intense. Towards the end, he had become very intense. His spirituality had become very intense. So we'll tease out some of the salient points in this and we'll finish this. Before you could go, so one time he had gone to Girish Ghosh's house, and Swami Niranjanananda was another one of those Ishvara Kotis, those special souls that come to spread the Lord's message. He was saying, you see, Sri Ramakrishna used to say, if you think yourself vile, low and wicked, you are going to be that. So think of yourself as a child of God, think of yourself as a pure and immortal, etc. And so you will become that. As you think, so will you become. And Niranjanananda, he was very convincing. He was tall and well built. Sri Ramakrishna says he was born as an aspect of Rama. So we had all the divinities there converging. And so he was so humbly saying, see, you can say it, Girish God can say it, because Girish is himself the Bhairava, an aspect of Shiva. I'm not going to say it because I know what is true. I will say what is true. I am a nobody. And that's what is. And he says it with such humility and sincerity. Niranjanananda was silenced. Nobody could argue with him. Because what happens is when you are in the presence of a saint, that saints, you can say divinity, that divinity will silence all critics, all opposition, and you will be drawn into that saint's life and his words and his thoughts. It's not possible to argue and counter-argue with such a person. And this was Nag Mahashay. So Girish Ghosh says about him after this incident, saying, if a man be sincere and if he really has the absence of egotism, he attains to the state of Nag Mahashay. See this. The earth becomes consecrated by the very touch of the feet of such great men. This was Nag Mahashay. So we take a few questions. Okay, Maharaj, one of the questions is, do you find anyone amongst the householders as Brahma Gyani? Oh yeah. In this, the knowledge of Brahman does not depend on monasticism. That was the old idea, yeah. And that only the highest class of monks, not even ordinary monks, the highest class of monks can attain to the state of knowledge of Brahman. It's not possible otherwise. So, but in the life of Sri Ramakrishna and in the life like these, we have clear evidences that the knowledge of Brahman can be attained by even this householder. But look at this householder. So, yeah, it is possible. And, who has a key to the knowledge of Brahman? The Holy Mother, Divine Mother. Raja Maharaj says, she has the key. If she lets you in, you're in. If she keeps you out, you're out. Nothing can. And later on we'll see how it is by the grace of the Divine Mother that you get your spiritual practices start bearing fruit, and also you will be led to higher spiritual experiences. Yeah. So yes, why not? Yeah. So, and we are taking this life of the householder disciples. We've seen, since the last 1 year, we've seen a long line of great householders. They are not ordinary. They have risen to those spiritual heights, which is the despair of even the so-called great people. Today's gurus and this and that, and there are so many of them. See how they have raised. So this is possible. Why? Because of Sri Ramakrishna, Holy Mother, etc., and because of these. So we had sterling examples of these household disciples. That's one of the reasons why I took this series, to make it kind of known to people that we had such people. So we are focusing only on some of the monastic disciples and some of this. Why here it is? Do we have any? Okay. Tomorrow at 10 we have Karma Yoga, from 10 to 1. So you're all welcome to come and join us to do some work, serve the center. There will be a talk, small talk on Karma Yoga, and then we can start working. On Sunday, we have mothers, children. We have also at 10 a.m. the 8 limbs of the yoga body. So it will be a discussion on the essential aspects of the yoga and what they are. We all heard about the 8 limbs, but I like to go a little deep inside and explore some of the things which are not known to people about. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.